So as I said, welcome first to Kalyan, because he's he's the one who's actually, the focus is on him today. And we discovered him just by chance. We met him in one of our programs, and he was talking about something very different. And at the same time, he was talking about something which, some of us are familiar with. He was talking using terms like conscious inaction, which to some of us looked like saying that if you want to heal, then you step out of the way and then healing might happen. Or something like what Krishnaji would often call about awareness, So to some extent, there was a curiosity, because there was a closeness in spirit. I would say a closeness in spirit. And even Kalyan admitted that, some of the things that he then discovered with Krishnaji, he found that there was a real connect at a deeper level. So that's why we requested Kalyan if he could just talk to us. And of course, many of us will have questions and queries, and we would, ask him about those. And then I'd also like to welcome Gotham. Now, Gotham, many of you have seen in our earlier programs. Gotham is actually into filmmaking, and he's done a lot of work for the Krishnamurti Foundation also. Very versatile, very creative. And so very often, whenever we need an anchor to, take a program through, sometimes Gotham, at other times, a good friend called Sayan, they help in to run our programs. And then, of course, welcome to all of you. So many of you are actually new to all of us. We never met each other, but so we are meeting each other for the first time. So that's a lovely experience to see new people on the program. And just a word about this evening. What we will do is basically leave Gotham and Kalyan to unravel, what Kalyan has been doing, I think basically. So that's the first part of the program. So that would be for about, say, 40 minutes or so. And then the remaining part of the second half of the program is for interaction, with all of us, basically. So whenever you feel you want to ask or, comment or ask a question, I think please do just, draw the attention by raising your hand or putting something in the chat box, any way in which you would like to draw the attention of Gotham to, to the fact that you want to ask a question. So, and the other thing is, in case it's not a problem for you, do open your videos, unless, sometimes there is a net problem. So that's very often people prefer to stay on audio. But if you can be on video, then we'd like to see everybody on the screen. So with those few words, I'd like to hand over now to Kalyan and Gotham to take things forward. Over to you, Gotham.
Well, good evening, everybody. Very good evening to you, Kalyan.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We are very grateful to you for today's session, because your life is absolutely exemplary for a lot of us. That's for sure. And obviously, we want to know your journey. We want to know about solutions and all these things. But before that, I want to read out a few lines. Just let me read out. But before that, as I know, you are ex-serviceman in Air Force, then corporate employee, qualified in mechanical engineering, postgraduate in mathematics, MSc in applied psychology, MPhil on meditation and stress coping skills. Wow! So we get to know a lot of things from you. But before that, let me read out a few lines. The days are not far when we will really have one specialist doctor for our little fingers and another specialist doctor for our thumbs. The problem of an individual cannot be shut off if it is shifted from one part of the body to another part. My body is a complete unit, and I need to attain the complete health. Diseases are unnecessarily termed as negative, whereas in nature cure, diseases are the body's efforts to come back to normalcy. The medicinal fraternity, by its structure, used to enforce the culture of dependency, that is, medicine dependency. that this dependency not only makes us dependent, but also hampers the natural curing capacity of body. Well, these lines are from Kalyan's autobiographical work, Montage of My Life. Surely we will explore these. But before that, as Kamalji mentioned, and from your short article which was published on our KFI blog, we get to know that quite a few ailments and lot of pills, and you were in a medication for the longer period, took you here in this in this journey, total nature cure. But let me ask you, or if I may say that almost all of us, we have quite a few ailments. We are into medications, regular medications, but we are not in a different journey. We carry on our life, our professional life, our personal life, whatever life we have, without any so-called hiccups. We carry on without any search, without any moderation, anything. But you did. So I think your quest, your journey, some bug was there from within. So I want to know your growing up days, when you were in your teens, maybe 8, 10, 12. What was your psyche within, your ambience, your education? Because unless and until something was there, you didn't opt for that absolute U-turn or something else. So Kalyan, if you can take us through. Over to you, Kalyan.
Yeah, thank you, Gautam. So it was not something unusual that I see in my childhood. Like my father was a medical profession, was in medical profession, and like every household, the medicine was a part of our household also. And for any ailment, pop a pill was a culture. So there was nothing unusual as such happened as far as the medicine and medicinal dependencies are concerned. Like we used to consider that medicine is a part of life. It's a big deal. Till the point when we experience that medicine becomes our dependency, knowingly, unknowingly. So in childhood, I don't see any unusual things happen in my life as such. Yeah.
Any quest, any association, anything else?
Any quest in the sense
of inclination towards something, out of the way, or anything else?
As far as the health is concerned, or otherwise? Normal.
Otherwise, your psyche, overall psyche.
Okay. So I remember that in childhood, I used to carry a diary, and I used to ask everyone I meet that do you believe in God? If yes, then give the rationale. I still have that diary with me. So that I remember when you ask these kind of inquiry things. Then that's it. I studied in Ramakrishna Mission. So I used to ask the sannyasis there that what is the perception or what is the understanding of God, because that one thing was very haunting for me, like in the childhood, that everybody goes after God kind of blindly. What is the fun of this? But I have not seen anybody or met these kind of things, maybe kiddish query. That used to be that thing. When you ask that just strike in my mind.
So somehow that bug was there, the questioning bug, and the quest was there. And I got to know from your biography that Swami Vivekananda's one line, that every human being is basically the same capability we have. the growing up stage, our learning, our education makes us whatever we become. So that's also very important. I find it that's very inquisitive.
Yeah, I think that as far as the inquisition is concerned, it's very much natural in every child. It's not that I had that and somebody did not. Every like unless it is suppressed. So I could term myself fortunate, not getting suppressed by my surroundings, by my caregivers, by my parents. The queries that I used to ask, they did not suppress it very explicitly. That I think. Otherwise, inquiry is very much natural knack for a human being. For any child will be inquisitive. Yeah, there's some echo.
So now cut to if you can take us through that period where you were serving with Indian Air Force and
Yes.
you were having quite a few ailments. I mean, diabetes, then
Yes,
arthritis, then
Yes.
to name a few, and you are having some 10, 12, 14 pills. Then what affected you? I mean, the mentally, psychologically. Then you opted on thinking or searching. So if you can.
Yeah. So I remember the day I was diagnosed as diabetic. It was 2004. So what happened? It is a default diagnosis. I did not have any evident problem or health issues. I had an extra growth in my right ankle.
Okay.
So being a defense person, it is mandatory to go for parade. The regular parade is a part of defense life. So I was having difficulty in wearing parade shoes. That's a high ankle shoes we used to wear. So I reported sick for that I have an extra growth in my ankle. So what to do? Then doctors examined that, and they ultimately they did some experimentation trying to cut it a little bit, but it didn't work and all those. Then they decided to go for a surgery and then flapping some kind of plastic surgery about it. So all those decisions were made, and before surgery, it was a pre-surgery diagnostic that one undergoes. I think there are medical doctors here. Dr. Rao is there. Dr. Kaur I saw joining. So I think it's called a pre-operation diagnosis or something. In that, I was found to be diabetic. Then as a protocol, they stopped the surgery. They did not proceed for the surgery at that moment, but they started investigating whether I have some other problem in my body or not. So when I came home with the report that I am diabetic, my parents were also there. My life partner was also there. So it is as if it's a great shock for everyone, and everyone got depressed and kind of.
It was around 2010 or something like that.
2004.
Oh,
exactly,
sorry,
2004. Yeah. I was around 28 years.
Okay.
So I'm 76 born. So so that time actually it was definitely very shocking and surprising that what happened, the change in the physical arena yesterday and today. Nothing has got changed. Just a piece of paper in my hand brought this gloominess in my family. That was the start. Then I was found to have a spondylitic spine. It's an ankylosing spondylitis. That's the name first time I heard of. So that was diagnosed. Then the treatment started, medicinal treatment, and that surgery also was done on my ankle. So slowly and progressively, many ailments got included in the list, including chronic rhinitis. It's a kind of asthmatic symptomatic problem, and high cholesterol. All these got added over the years. So yeah, that's how it started.
So then, okay, that will I mean, understand. But now you took some decisions, you took some, I mean, absolute U-turn to something else. I mean, how it happened and what was your psyche dealing? If you can explain those things.
Yeah, so I took premature release from Air Force, considering that with these medical ailments, I'll not be able to continue with that defense life. So,
Okay.
in 2012, ultimately, I got a release from Air Force. Then I started my own, this is absolutely need-based inquiry. I cannot even call this as inquiry, because I was very keen on relieving myself from medicine. So I started exploring Ayurveda, I started exploring homeopathy even, I started exploring naturopathy. But everybody was saying that you have to replace that medicine with this medicine. But you have to be dependent on something. So ultimately, I got introduced to a book called Heart Mafia by Dr. Vishwarup Roy Chaudhary, and who is a good friend of mine, actually, coincidentally, because of my corporate connections. Like I joined a corporate after Air Force. I was in educational technology industry. So through which I was connected to Vishwarup and we became good friends. I was in Gurgaon and Vishwarup is from Faridabad, so it is nearby places. So we used to visit each other's house and all those things. So he gifted me that book, Heart Mafia, and it was a kind of revealing, and where this guy was assuring confidently that you can be medicine free whatsoever. Then I started experimenting and went ahead with his diet proposal. He made a diet chart for me, which is basically a plant-based diet, like no animal product, no packaged food, no oil or lesser oil perhaps, and no milk product also. So all these things I started with. Then I saw results in terms of reduction in medicines, in terms of the same medical parameter. The diagnostics readings and all those things were coming down, and I was tapering the medicine, and ultimately it took 43 days. Actually, there is a chapter in the book called 43 days. So in 43 days, I was out of, yes, sir.
Just change of foods, nothing else.
Yeah, at that time. So change of food includes having sunshine,
okay,
having movement of the body also, like these are included. Being in defense, I was under a regime of exercise for long, so I continued that exercise regime. But what I added to this input matters, like the sunshine, fresh air in the morning, maybe by just going rooftop or going for a walk, and having as much as raw food possible. That was the change. That was the primary change. And just by having that change, a lot of things got changed. Like the medicine was dropped, and the energy level and everything was bettering. That I
gradually dropped the medicine. That was the, I mean,
43
days. Kind of suggestion.
Yeah, 43 days. I tapered the medicine according to the blood sugar level.
Okay.
So it took 43 days for the complete stoppage of medicine. I remember the date, 12th April 2014, I took the last dose of medicine. Yeah.
So that was revelation to you, and then the journey happened on. So if you can, I mean, take us through.
So what happened, after that point, it was really something which was not merely food change. We just, I and Raki sat together and just tried to understand that what is happening. Like, it's just merely change of food, the health got improved. Then what is the lens that we are using to see the life? So a lot of things actually got revealed. So we were in a journey of child-free life. So in terms of sexual understanding, our understanding of sex till then, that time was just for fun, just for pleasure. But it's a natural knack, like the pleasure points for any organisms are food, sex, and something going deeper as a responsive organism. So for mankind, we call mindfulness. So all these three pleasure points we touch, food, sex, and mindfulness, that has got a purpose, that has got a programmatic purpose. It's not something intentionally sketched, but that has got a programmatic purpose. Ignoring that purpose is actually a deprivation for that organism. That got revealed. Then we decided to go for a child. Like, we started staying together since 2001, but we consciously, we cannot say now, but with an intention of not going for child was there, very keen, for different reasons at different point in time. Like, sometime it was thought to go for some orphanage, old age home, and all those things. But ultimately we stick to being child free. So in 2014, after this revelation, by 2015, we decided that we must go for, yeah, Samarpita, if you can just mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So then 2015, by 2015, we decided that now we can go for a child. There should not be any restriction from our side, from the mental side, unless there is some problem in the physical side. So 2015, Rakhi left her job and we decided to go for, she was a teacher in Delhi Public School. So she left her job and joined me in Gurgaon. Then 2016, Montaj born. And parallelly, the search was going on to understand this thing at the deeper level, that what is this natural healing? Then I met with a person called Kevin Hinton online. That's also through online and through the educational technology work that I had been doing. Kevin Hinton was the founder of International Institute of Nature Cure Studies, Australia. So he and I got connected for building an online academy for him. Then that led us to a friendship because of the maybe some knack in knowing and inquiry, all those stuff. Then he unraveled this science called pure nature cure. And it is not just diet, it's something beyond with a lot of deeper understanding about life. Then we started exploring that, and we found that, that the kind of life that we are leading is a blind life. Then we switched over to much less dependent life in terms of our jobs also. So I left my job in 2016 December. Then 2017 onwards, we started this initiative of PSYsolution, where it was merely going deeper in our own understanding, and as a byproduct, there were a few people joining hands together, and we started inquiring together to understand the science at the deeper level. So 2017 onwards, we started offering workshops, courses, online primarily, on pure nature cure. That's how this PSYsolution started. Then should I continue, or you have some?
Yeah, continue, because what you have said, according to Hinton and your understanding, all these things, it's not only that food, it's nature cure is beyond that. So
yes,
we want
yes.
to understand, and we want you to explore. I mean, this
yes,
with all of us,
sir. So what is the basic understanding here that we found is that the self-healing capability of the organism is not only the mankind, but for all organisms this science speaks about. So primarily the organisms are equipped with three capabilities, primary capabilities, which are repair, reproduce, and respond. So repairing capability is the primary capability for the particular organism, which is inside out aspect. If it is a cure, then it has to come from inside out. If something we are considering cure from outside, it is nothing but a suppression, which is a fragmented view of suppressing a symptom. So all the medicinal, so medicine is not a substance. So far it was an understanding that medicine is that pill. It is not that pill. It is a philosophy of trying to solve something, trying to intervene something to solve. So basically all the medicinal approach is towards a symptom, that I have a symptomatic problem and I want to get rid of it. So from this choice, the intervention starts. And necessarily that intervention targets the symptoms. And symptom comes from a whole. Like suppose if I have a pain in the wrist, then this wrist is not a fragmented portion of my body. It's an integrated portion which is connected through my body. A problem that is happening in the body, an imbalance rather, let's not call it a problem, but an imbalance that has happened in the body, which is evolving as a pain here. Now, if I target this pain, how can I get rid of the whole imbalance? That's the primary question. That's a primary inquiry of nature cure. That this fragmented view of solving something, how can it solve the whole? So from there, actually, in 2018, one of the alumni of the online workshop proposed us to hold a physical workshop in near Coimbatore in Pollachi. So there we started the physical workshop journey. And this physical workshop, through the physical workshop, it's a phenomenal experience. Like the online, why Kamal sir is asking everybody to switch on the video to compensate the limitation of online, so that we can see each other, some kind of simulation or simulation of the physical presence. So, and physical workshops are something else. Like it's a phenomenal experience. So there we started getting a lot of people joining in, and there a lot of people, not by number, but intensive people, you know, because this is very intensive domain rather, where you cannot get a mass, but definitely the people, those who join, they have a substance to go deeper and inquiring more. There, when we are talking about conscious inaction means when you understand the natural cure, which is an inside out experience, that time you need to understand the inaction, which is a spontaneous action, which is actually an intentionless action, where you don't intend to do something, but you do something. So we used to use this term conscious inaction. Then a few participants started proposing that, have you heard about choiceless awareness, which is quite synonym to conscious inaction? And till that time, I personally did not know about JK. Then we started exploring JK's proposal, and which is nothing but nature cure proposals. Now, pick up any talk of JK, we can actually interpret it and explain it in terms of nature cure. So he talks about nature cure, but in some other terminologies, perhaps. The same fragmentation, the same wholeness, all these things are quite relatable. So this is how it is proceeding so far, sir.
And what I understand that your workshop, your PSYsolution or your workshop module got birth not from any so-called education or not for anything else. Your life journey, your understanding of your body, your ailments and medicine, all these things, which is
that's true. That's true.
Very interesting, which is very kind of rare thing, because it happened from your womb kind of thing. So I was flipping through your website and your obviously that your autobiographical write-up. So
no, I would like to go deep into that your experience thing. It might have been started. Yeah, it might have been started with my personal journey and the experience with medicine and all those termed ailments. But ultimately, it didn't remain only Kalyan's experience. When you are into a journey of inquiry, that time when you connect with people, those who are also interested, those who are also interested in inquiry, then it doesn't remain your individual journey anymore. It's quite equivalent to the universal consciousness alignment. So the perception with which you proceeded will be actually strengthened by the perception with which you are associating now. Now, how can you claim that this whole perception which is evolving out of this journey of what we call workshop, that's a name, but ultimately you cannot own it further. So we started with all this copyright drama and all, that the content that we are creating, we have a copyright. Our old contents do have this C round and psi solution. Then we realized that how can we claim this copyright even? Then post, I think 2019 or 20, we started using that every copyright is left. Whoever wants to copy anything from here, they are welcome to copy or use it. And let's explore together and proceed. So that's how. It is not my experience as such I can claim. And it's not a modesty or something. I'm not being Binoy Dakachinarki.
Well, as I was asking you that while I was flipping through your websites and your autobiographical work, and beautiful. So a lot of questions popped in my mind. If I can, I have jotted few questions, like in your webpage, I found in Pure Nature Care, we work towards deconditioning our voice of the organism, recalibrating our senses and feelings. So, what do you mean by that? If you enlighten us further.
Yes. This is very needful question. Actually, the voice of the organism. The voice of the organism is the primary driver for an organism. So a few, I think chats are coming that network is poor or something. Should we stop the video or something? Are you saying?
No, it's all right, Kalyan. Actually, some friends have got that.
Network is not appropriate. Probably.
So they can keep their video off, no problem.
No,
yes.
You can,
whoever
has having problem, you can put your video. No problem, no issue. Okay, please carry on, Kulman.
Right. So the voice of the organism I was talking about. So voice of the organism is the primary driver of any organism. So what it means, like the term is looking like a jargon, but it's basically the sensation, internal sensation that we sense when we are hungry. That indicates that there is a substantial need in the body and we end up eating. This is as simple as that. Hunger is a sensation which is the voice of the organism, and organism is programmatically compelled to listen to it. That is why this is a driver of the organism. Okay. So like the sexual urge, like the other attractions in the body, and as simple as that, like any for eyes, suppose our sense organs responds to this through this sensation. For example, the eyes, we cannot look at the source of light. We have to look at the reflected opaque light, then only we are able to see. So we can look at a tree, but we cannot look at the sun.
I can listen, but I'm not in a position to talk anything. What's the problem?
I muted him. Kalyanji, mute করে দিয়েছি কথা বলুন
right
background থেকে sound আসছিল I muted him continue please
sir so that way the voice of the organism is the driver of an organism which actually lead the organism to conserve energy or deplete energy. Like if we are hungry, suppose, and we are presented with a plate full of mangoes, then the first mango is very pleasurable. The pleasure is a voice of the organism, which lead us to eat it. Then first, second, third, fourth, fifth mango becomes painful. We are not able to eat anything further because we are satiated by them. So there is no change in the mango. The first mango and the fifth mango, the ingredients are same, but the first was pleasurable, the fifth was not. So it is an inside out. So the internal chemical actually indicates us whether we should continue with it or not.
Well,
Now, if we flip it from outside in, suppose if we replace the mango with a maza or any chemical aided luring taste of mango, which is not the actual mango, the natural mango. Then beyond the fifth mango also, one would continue for some more time when it is outside regulated. Why? Why? Because the mango tree did not have any intention to lure my taste buds. It was a natural mapping without any intention. This is a tendency based mapping. But the mango, that maza company has got an intention to lure me. And that intention lead me to elongate the pleasure period. And that becomes the problem for the mankind. The elongation of the pleasure period, which is driven outside in, driven from outside.
okay.
You know? And this is the primary reason of depleting our energy, which is the further actually impacts on our health, and the start of the deterioration of health starts with the depletion of energy to begin with. So pleasure is a driver, but if we become pleasure focused, then we start tweaking pleasure from outside. You know, you'll find the glimpse of proposals of K also here.
Yes.
You know, so when we are pleasure focused, that time we start depleting ourselves. But pleasure is definitely a driver, which is the voice of the organism, the point that you raised. Yeah.
Beautifully analyzed. Well, my second, please disclose your view about fever management. I mean, I saw in your website, according to Pure Nature Care. And here, let me tell you all that Kalyan's daughter, Montaj, she's around 6.5 years old, was having high fever for last few days, along with severe coughing. And she is absolutely under no medication, just pursuing the Pure Nature Cure therapy. Please enlighten us, Kalyan.
Yeah. So this is not the first time for Montaj to experience this episode of fever. So according to so what happens? We talked about the depletion of energy, right? Now, when there is a depletion of energy continues for some time, that time depletion of energy, let's try and understand with simplified example that you have a limited amount of money with you, and you went to market with a list of items to purchase. Now, like without planning, you started purchasing something else. Then there will be a crunch in the money that you have, and you will end up curtailing the needful list that you went ahead with. The same thing happens with our body also. When we keep on engaging our energy unnecessarily in additional engagement, which is primarily intention-based engagement, we have a lot of choices, lot of intention to satiate, to fulfill, to achieve the goal and all those stuff in terms of food, in terms of sexual understanding, in terms of goal in life and all those stuff. And we keep on depleting our energy. And in the bargain, we actually limit the output of the body. The output of the body, the elimination gets hampered, gets curtailed. And that's how the start of the disease happens, through the accumulation of the toxin, because whatever we throw out are the toxin for the body. So when we are not throwing it out optimally, we are keeping it inside. So we are retaining toxin within the body. And that's the starting of all the diseases whatsoever, even the infection, the deficiency, all these medical terminologies are based on the toxemia to begin with. Even the microorganisms will not be interested in you if you do not have toxin within your body. the microorganisms that are termed as harmful. So pathogens, pathogenic interest is on the toxin. So now the response of the body, when there is an overaccumulation of toxin, the response of the body is through raising of the temperature, the toxins are actually thrown out of the body. Because with the raise of the temperature, the density of the toxin goes down and the elimination is facilitated. So through perspiration, through urination, and through breathing, the elimination happens. And this time we saw in montage, the elimination through the eyes are huge.
Okay.
The mucus is coming out through the eyes. So when the body is at work, why to stop it?
I mean,
Body is trying.
In the form of tear.
Not tears, mucus, pichuti.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so all in all, the fever is an initiative of the body to reduce the toxin burden. Now, this is fever is termed as acute disease in nature cure, where the body temperature is more than the normal. And this is also called healing crisis. A crisis, definitely. The experience of toxin when it comes out of the body is painful. So the individual having that crisis will undergo a pain. But this is a needed thing for healing. All chronic diseases are actually products of suppression of fever in some or other time of life. All the chronic evolution of the disease, which is lower in temperature, but there is a persistent discomfort in the body. That is the definition of the chronic disease. So definitely fever is something, even the coughing is something which is very much needed. Coughing basically cleans the lungs, from the lower respiratory system. It actually jerks out the mucus that gets deposited in the lungs. So which is very much needed. And the individual is coughing. Why to stop? Why to stop the individual? Stay with her and soothe her, whatever, with your affection, with your presence, you can soothe her. But why to stop her when she is working physiologically?
No, that's intriguing. But just a second, Kamalji.
Yeah.
Just a second. But conceptually, it's something else. But while your own daughter or my own daughter at just 6-7 years of age, she is having severe coughing. So, I want to know your fatherly psyche and the technical conceptual thing, how you, balance that. So that's very important. That's very important for all of us.
This is very important, that this doesn't comes out of knowledge. This cannot come out of knowledge. That the technical part of it, and that's why you are relaxed. If I claim it, then tomorrow some other symptoms which will appear, I may not have any idea of it, any understanding of it. Then how do I see that moment? So can I look at that particular experience of my baby, or for that matter anyone, closely, without any precondition, without any proposal or the fear being proposed by some other, that fever will go high and your brain will be affected. All these stories, that you will be told that, are you taking a risk? Are you doing an experimentation? On the hindsight, I am not going for an experimentation when my child is responding naturally. So if I can look at it without any condition, then there won't be any fear. There won't be any fear, because fear comes from ideas, from the past or the future assumption. From the past imagination or future assumption, the fear appears. Because we start comparing with that imagination and the present status. And then that fear. Did I answer it? Or?
And you are saying that fever, that high fever, and that severe coughing will not shoot up that extent so that her brain will affect or something will happen. It will not shoot up. That's only the concept.
I'm not saying that, sir.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I am with my baby who is responding physiologically to her condition. I'm with my baby. So when my baby works physically, suppose she is doing clay modeling, and she's sweating also. She's trying hard and doing some work physically. I'm appreciating. I'm with her, and I'm identifying. I'm acknowledging her work. Why I will not acknowledge her work when she is doing a physiological work, which is not seen as a labor outside, but internally she is trying to manage herself and coming out of it. That's the natural knack of organism.
Okay.
So this time what happens, Montaj, normally during the fever, what we recommend is the rest, fast and relax. Physical, physiological and psychological. Rest is physical rest, and fast is physiological. Do not eat food, and all these are indication driven. You will sense tiredness, that's why rest and relax also mentally. And tastelessness in the tongue, that indicates that don't eat. As simple as that. It's not that we are saying, or nature cure books are saying. It goes with the indication, physical indication of the individual organism. So she has some wild cats friends, so who underwent a wound a few days back, a severe wound in the throat.
Sorry, severe what?
Wound of a cat. So Montaj plays with few cats. Wild cats who comes, play and go back. No, not pet cat. That's that way. So those one of them actually had a wound in the throat, and it's a severe, deep wound, and it underwent for 3 days continuous fasting. We offered it food.
That's very true. I
water, everything is rejected.
Absolutely.
And that perhaps is a revelation for Montaj. So before this episode, whenever she underwent a fever, asking her to fast was troublesome, because children will ask for food.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of conditioning. So this time she was volunteering, because she saw the kitten who is fasting naturally. Then it becomes that, okay, I am also not having a sense of food, a sense of taste, so why not to fast? So she fasted very comfortably. Today she broke the fast. Like she couldn't continue anymore.
She's more or less well now. Okay now.
Yeah, almost, but still coughing is there, but not that severe.
Okay, that's good. And let me tell you that cat story is spot on, because I live in an old house. There are a lot of cats, and I have observed that same thing. You're spot on. Absolutely, it's kind of revelation of our this thing.
And we are not different, sir. We are not different than a cat.
Yeah, that's
as an organism. We consider that we are something else, but that's
true. That's
Gotham, I think it's about 6:50.
That's true.
So we should now.
Mr. Shom was raising his hand.
Yeah, please, I think we should now hand over to the audience and invite questions.
Yeah, that's true. Mr. Shom, Chirojoy, please unmute Mr. Shom.
Yes, 1 minute. Gotham, 1 minute. I'm unmuting.
Mr. Shamul Shom.
No, I think Mr. Som needs to unmute himself. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Shom, please go on.
Also, one thing. It's a very interesting topic, no doubt. But one thing is very confusing also, because conscious inaction, this particular subject that was taken care of, and the way the subject was shared among our members, that is really getting very complicated, because you are talking about conscious inaction, and you are talking about the disease symptoms and other things. But our body basically comprises of certain cells and tissues. Can you deny it? When there is any deficiency in the cells, deficiency of the mineral that contains in our cell, automatically the body responds in different way, and that difference depend on the human structure also, man to man different. So that is, I couldn't understand very clearly regarding the conscious inaction, what you actually exactly want to mean, and that clarification I need.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
you have spoken a lot of things, but I couldn't relate all these things to the subject itself.
Yes,
That is very confusing to me.
sir. Sir. First of all, I admit that this conscious inaction term itself is the word conscious is a redundant adjective for inaction, because inaction itself is a conscious action, which is a spontaneous conscious action. So this was not that much needed, the adjective conscious here, the conscious inaction. When we look back, then we find that redundance of the word conscious here, because inaction means it is a conscious action itself.
Akarma.
No, akarma, yes.
Akarma.
So now coming back to your question of deficiency, now I'll try to connect the dots here if we can. So for a deficiency, as we understand that deficiency is an effect of the state of toxemia or accumulated toxin in the body. So what happens when the body undergoes a state of toxemia, which is an accumulation, over accumulation of toxin within the body, the elements of the body also undergoes an orchestration. Some element goes up, some element comes down. So that way, this orchestration is very obvious when the body is undergoing an imbalance from within. Now, the body actually adjusts itself through this tweaking or orchestration. Now, through our medical understanding, we pick up few elements and we bring it under scanner and term it as deficiency, and then we supplement it. Now the question comes that what happens to the other elements which are not yet discovered by medical science, which is also undergoing the up and down when we are actually undergoing a state of toxemia. Now the question is that how this will be managed by the body. The body has got its innate transmuting and synthesizing capability. Now what are these jargons? Synthesizing capability means picking up the elements from the inputs. It can synthesize anything to anything. And this is not an assumption. There are physical evidences also to it. And for that, we need not to go to the lab. A baby drinks white milk, poops yellow. So how this synthesization and transmutation is converting anything into anything. So synthesizing is synthesizing elements into anything, and transmutation is synthesizing and then changing anything into anything. That's a body's capability, innate capability. So body tries to manage it on its own way if it is supported with enough energy. Now the energy drainer is the that intentional based, choices based actions with which we try to intervene. When we relieve ourselves from these choice based actions, which is actually nothing but inaction or conscious inaction as the term used, it's a huge energy the body gets. And with that huge energy, the transmuting capability actually becomes optimum, and the management of the deficiency, so-called, is managed by its own management. So for which we need not to intervene anything to manage. That's what is, we can go further deeper maybe in an offline conversation. Or, yes, sir. Sir, please.
Okay. One thing, actually, symptoms. There are various types of symptoms. One is subjective symptom, one is objective symptom. Subjective symptom, that is a part of the patient who can understand and who can deliver this particular symptom to the doctor. But objective symptom, that is being taken care of by the doctor. Patient cannot understand this objective symptom. It happens simply because patient has a regulated type of action to control his own system that is disturbing within. And doctors in that case interfere to understand what is the that is objective symptom. Depending on the objective symptom, he goes on diagnosis all these things. Now, in medical science, there are a lot of systems are prevailing. The Ayurvedic is there, the allopathic is there, and at the same time alternative medicine, that is homeopathic, biochemic, all these systems are also operating in our medical science. To me, what I understand, the cell component, that is basically main controller of the body. Cell, tissue and cell, they are the main control of the body. The deficiency that starts from the symptom of the body, and who is having a certain conception about this biochemical that is activity, he can understand what is the symptom, what is the deficiency of the symptom, and on the basis of the deficiency of the symptom, the doctor comes and he can diagnose medicine for quick recovery. Because if you go to the root, symptom and disease, these are two different things. Symptom, that is an expression of the disease. Expression of the disease that comes from within, from the root. If you can identify by deficiency of the tissue cell and you can diagnose properly, automatically there will be quick recovery of that particular patient. And now the second, the part, the inaction you were talking about. Inaction of the talking about. So what do you mean by it? It is still not very clear to me. Inaction, what does it mean? Should I remain silent or should I
Yeah.
carry?
Maybe, Mr. Shom, we can allow somebody else and then again perhaps it
Okay,
may be
okay.
clarified. Yeah.
Let it be faster. Let it be
Yeah,
faster to
yeah.
somebody who is interested to talk something or add something more. Okay, no problem.
Any other inputs? Any other?
No, nothing. You can pass on to somebody else.
Right.
So anybody else want to pitch in, want to ask anything, whatever we are discussing, whatever Kalyan is disclosing?
I want to ask one question, Kalyan.
Sir.
One question. That is, like at the physical level, there are, it seems, easier to understand because it's a response to nature. And in a sense, what you're saying is that by leaving it to nature, that becomes the inaction on our part, in the sense. Just by assumption is that you understand that there is a healing taking place and therefore you stay out of it. When I say you stay out of it, there is otherwise an eagerness to act. But now at the psychic level, when you mentioned the psychic level, what is the sort of action that is, suggested for dealing with unconditioning, which is a purely psychic thing, actually? So is there, are you suggesting that there is I think, like we know, like in the present environment, we know that a lot of conditioned minds in different areas, whether it may be religion, etc., that also is a sort of a disease. So I'm just wondering, in your scheme of things, how does the psychic conditioning happen and unconditioning happen? Because that seems to be a critical factor. Once the body is taken care of, and is then one has to go beyond that and say, well, what is it that at the psychic level, what is the baggage that I carry? So what is the dealing with that, actually, basically? That's my question, Kalyan. Yeah.
Sir. So before going to this, let me share the journey of the workshop topics that got evolved. We started with very much physical addressing of the understanding of health in 2017. Then the latest, the title of the workshop, there are many participants and volunteers also here who actually co-facilitate the workshops, like Meenu, Binal. So the latest title of the workshop is Let Us Inquire. That's it. Earlier, it was Basics of Nature Cure. We started with that, and a lot of changes in the title happened, and ultimately it boils down to the mind aspect. We started with body, but we understood that the mind is the key here. Now, the conditioning actually is the primary depleting factor of our energy. Any kind of conditioning in form of beliefs. So it could be coming from religion, it could be coming from political understanding, it could be coming from nationalism, it can be coming from medical understanding, it can be coming from any kind of knowledge per se. If that is there, then that keeps on depleting our energy in a vicious cycle. Now, if we inquire, then that vicious cycle is dissolved. Inquiry is it is not about how much you know. With that confidence, you are actually bringing an inaction. It is not the fact. It is actually the state of tentativeness, the state of perennial tentativeness. If one can have, then that individual can actually go deeper, understanding the fact to its maximum potential. And that's the state of optimal energy for an individual. Now, in that state of energy, there will be tremendous intelligence of that individual, which will operate towards some emergence of action. So inaction is not absence of action. Inaction is the spontaneous action which gets emerged out of the overwhelming energy of an individual. Am I clear on that somewhat, sir?
That's fine, Kalyan. That's fine. Yes.
Sir.
Because I see in what you said, Kalyan, I see some, reflections of what when Krishnaji talks about observation.
Yes. Which
is an observation with you are not there with all your conditioning. It's an observation which I am trying to relate to inquiry.
Yes.
Pure inquiry or pure observation, where the person is not there in that inquiry. When I say the person, I assume that it's basically all the baggage that one carries and all the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what happens, the observation, if we try and understand the observation is nothing but tentativeness of an individual. The moment one concludes, it's no more an observation. Now, whenever we intervene, there is a conclusion. Without conclusion, there cannot be an intervention. So that intervention means a conclusion and the stoppage of the tentativeness. And it is a primary depleter of energy. There becomes actually a loop of perception and perception-initiated sensation within an individual, which happens through the conclusion, through the beliefs. And it goes in loops. One small belief actually brings an array of belief. And one particular belief, if we address with inquiry and gets resolved, the array of beliefs get resolved instantly.
That's right, Kalyan. Yes.
Okay, since
anybody else
asking anything, let me ask one more thing. That again, how to synchronize our physical and psychological activities. So you mentioned that the physical and psychological activities, how to synchronize. How do you see to it? I mean,
see, the physical aspects are very simple to understand unless we ideate. I repeat, the physical aspects are very simple to understand unless we ideate.
Okay.
So, and that can happen both the ways. Like, for example, the sunlight, the primary thing, sunlight. If we are not subject to these walls and the roofs, which comes from the ideas of mankind, then otherwise we would have been in open space.
Okay.
And we would have been responding to the sunlight according to the irritation on the skin. If there's an irritation, we'll go to the shadow. We may go to the cave or underneath the tree and protect ourselves, responding to the physical irritation. Simple as that. And otherwise, the organisms are actually structured to stay in open. So the physical synchronization doesn't need any planning, just observing the physical aspect and just observing the ideated influences also. Like, if we can just look at the fact, the time that we spend inside a room, house, which is constructed out of ideation of mankind, which is definitely an unnatural thing. So if we are actually enforcing this, on ourselves, then it is an ideated life that we are leading. And on the hindsight, if we understand that the sunlight is very much important, and then ignoring our body's irritation, if we enforce ourselves to be in the sun all the day, despite having irritation, that's another kind of obsession, another kind of ideation. Are we able to understand this?
Okay.
So if we just can observe this mental aspect of ideated influences in our life, then running through the physical indications is very easy, very simple. For food also, I think we discussed this earlier also. For food, in nature, we see the food is the substance which is without modification, palatable for an organism, acceptable for an organism. So I repeat, a natural substance without any modification, palatable for an organism, is the food for that organism. Now, in that terms, the human being is left with the plant-based fruits and few vegetables. We are not structured to consume non-vegetarian foods, because naturally
structure is kind of herbivorous. Yeah.
No, that structure is leave that structure and all those teeth dimension explanation. But can we eat a non-vegetarian food without modifying it? If it is, then it is our food. It's a simple, without any ideation. This is a simple question, without going beyond spectrum explanation. A lot of digestive structure explanation, all those dramas are there. But let's not go there. Just simple, that I am presented with a fish. Can I eat it? So these simple few questions, if I can ask myself by looking at my physical responses, then what appears, that appears. At that moment, if I end up eating fish, that's also fine. But can I keep questioning myself?
I think, Kalyan, I think Parvez, what you want to ask a question, Parvez?
Sir.
Because I saw your video is on. Do you want to ask a question, Parvez? You wanted to say something, Parvez?
Well, thank you for bringing me in Kamalji. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, when I first read the name PSYsolution, I thought it was going to be about something which is beyond the known sciences, and so that was the impression I was carrying. But anyway, today you have explained the physiology of how our body works, and good enough. Now, my perception is that when our body is intelligent enough to survive on its own, and it probably gets sick only when it is invaded by pathogens, by external agents. So in that situation, we need some sort of medicines or some kind of help if the body is lacking those fighting chemicals. So if we take those things as a part of our diet, the medicines, the commonly known medicines, so that our body grows stronger, in fact, progressively stronger. And the moment the moment it is invaded by pathogens, then it can defend on its own. So it's a kind of preparing for any such eventuality. So why can't we see things like that? And why should we deprive ourselves of any food or water when we actually get sick? In fact, are we not depriving our body to have a weapon to find those? To fight those pathogens. I think that way probably the medicines become essential, because we are actually arming our body to fight those pathogens. So, another thing. Actually, I had this idea. I read about a story of about one Indian origin lady who was living in probably Hong Kong or Singapore. She goes by the name Anita Murjani. Maybe if you look up in the Google,
Yes.
you find a lot of things. she was a living example and a much a subject of intense research in the field of medicine. Actually, she had fourth grade cancer, and the best doctors in Singapore, had given up on her, and her relatives were asked to come and see her for the last time, because the doctor felt that
Can you take your first portion, sir? Do you expect a response for your first portion?
Yes, I expect a response on all that. In fact, this will pose another question, but both are related.
Okay, you want to complete it?
Yeah.
Sir, please.
So that Anita Murjani, and doctor presumed that she won't be surviving beyond another 2 days. So she actually, as per the vitals which were being monitored, she was clinically dead. And according to her, she had a NDE, that is near-death experience. And when within half an hour, probably she came back to life. And according to her, she experienced a lot of things. The normal thing that people who die actually and see a light, a tunnel, and they go travel at a speed faster than light. And she met one of her friends who was already deceased, her parents, who told her, in fact, who gave this suggestion that no, your time hasn't come, so you need to go back to your body. So when she came back to her body, time was very relative then. When she was in the NDE period, then it was probably for her it were several hours. But when she came back, doctors told her that she survived after maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Now, in another 15 days subsequently, from a fourth grade cancerous body where not a single part of her body was free of cancer, after 15 or 20 days, she survived in such a way that there was not a trace of cancer after 15 or 20 days. Now, what was that actually? I have this query about it.
Yes.
So I would like these. What kind of healing is this then? Right. That from a fourth grade cancer, you become totally cancer free, and not a trace of cancer is seen in your body in another 20 days. And the entire medical fraternity throughout the world, they were very curious about this case, and this is still a subject of research. So I was a bit curious about what is this healing then, and the healing that you talked about.
Sir,
thank you.
Okay, so Kalyan, if you can.
Yeah. So I'll go one by one. One is the pathogen invasion, and second one was supplementation through medication, and third is this beyond death, near death experience and coming out of it. So the first is the invasion of pathogen. Why at all pathogen which are invisible will invade and attack us? What is the interest it has got in attacking us? It is some favorable environment that is there within us, which is attracting, inviting, and there is no invasion as such as human does, or attacking as such. It is just an attraction of a favorable condition within our body, which brings the pathogen coming to our body. Now, out of many pathogens, n numbers of pathogens, few pathogens are identified and named by the mankind. Now, there are n number of pathogens, and that pathogenic invasion, quote unquote, is happening all the time within our body. And the body is managing well. Managing it through the energy management, and the reason of that favorable condition is the toxic environment within the body. If the body has got this toxic environment, then there is no denial to the infection. There is no denial to the infestation by the pathogens, but it is not in the way human actually verbalize it: war, attack, invasion. It never happens that way in nature. In nature, these kind of things are happening for other organisms also. Only human being makes a drama of raising a war against an invisible enemy. Can you imagine? Just think about this. An enemy is attacking you who is invisible. Have you watched that movie, Mr. India? So, an invisible enemy is attacking you. Can you ever win the war? Can you ever win the war? Because it has got a great capability of being invisible. From where it will attack, you don't know. You are just thinking that I will, through some experimentation, I have understood that it goes through the nostril, and our whole body is having a lot of pores. So how can we, and then that PPE kit and all those things, these are just ideated intervention that we succumb to. A fever is a fever, sir. A fever is meant to reduce the toxin load. If we just allow the body to it, and then why another question that Mr. Ahmed posed is that why to deprive the body during that time by not giving food? It is not a decision. It is not a pre-planning that go for fasting. That's not a nature cure. If you are going for a ritual fasting, weekly fasting, all those things, it is about responding to the body. If the body is rejecting food, why to?
Best example was the cat. The cat syndrome.
Yes, the cat example. And during our fever experience, I need not to consult anyone to decide for my body. My body will indicate if I can listen to the voice of the organism in its originality, inside out. So during fever, the tastelessness is an obvious experience for everyone.
Not
then
only
why
just 1 second, Kalyan. Not only tastelessness, we don't want to eat. Severe, I mean that thing. But our surroundings, our parents, our the beloved one forced to eat. No, you should eat something, or otherwise we'll go weak and blah 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 blah.
And that comes from a lot of ideas.
Not to take, take anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that comes from a lot of beliefs actually.
Exactly.
A lot of fed belief, or belief is actually the individual believed it. That's why it becomes a belief. So it comes out of a lot of belief, so to say. Now coming to the near-death experience and coming out of it, this Murtaja's stories, and there are a lot many these kind of experiences. This sounds like an enlightenment. So if somebody is enlightened, why should I bother? What it means for me? What it means for me? If somebody is claiming that I got enlightened, so what it means for me? Can it be generalized? Can it be experienced by me or anyone else? Unless it is experienced by me, if it has happened without any demeaning, without any looking down to that experience and that narration, can I choose not to believe? It has happened. It might happen. I look at it with tentativity, and it doesn't have any general disposition and general experience as stated. Like, it's not about the establishing a statistics I'm talking, but this particular experience is not a fever experience. Fever experience is a common experience. That's why that mentioning of the tastelessness, which one can relate to. But this particular story is unrelatable, and it doesn't matter.
Beautifully analyzed. And in connection of that food, just you were mentioning just few minutes ago, I found in your write-ups and all these things that you mentioned the conditioned food. So you refer conditioned food is processed food or cooked food. So what should we eat? According to you, what should we eat? Fruits, okay, and then?
Yeah, so according to me is not the question, sir.
No, it's according to pure nature here.
So according to the individual's unconditioned state of being.
Okay.
Let's take it that way, because it will be very simple for everyone to understand. Because if we talk about nature cure recommendation, then it's a set scriptural prescription.
That's true. Yeah.
But can I look at myself? What can I eat unconditionally? Now, the taste is one aspect that we get attracted to. Now, if that taste is a natural mapping, then it follows the natural movement. If it is not a natural mapping, but intentionally luring, that means it is created. The taste, when the taste is created, so putting condiments, putting salt, putting oil, making it more attractive is an outside-in approach for the taste. If we can just look at it that way. Now, there is no recommendation what to do. There is no recommendation because it is your prerogative what to do. But can you look at this fact? Can you stay not in denial that I am consuming conditioned food? If I am consuming, then let's see what happens. When the truth reveals, then a lot of intelligence appears. And with that, a lot of change may happen. So can I just look at myself that what is my unconditioned response to hunger? As simple as that. If I am hungry, that's an indication that I must eat food. Now, with that sense of hunger, what I can consume, which is unconditioned. Any modification in the taste means conditioned. It underwent a conditioning. Maybe it's from your own kitchen, may not be from a factory. Can I look at this factor? Then there would be a probable, just a suggestion or maybe a proposal. There could be a probable reduction in the condiments at least, through which we make the luring more attractive and all those things, and a little more consumption in the fruits happen. I don't intend to go in the prescriptive manner that this thing is.
But again, you are mentioning somewhere that no animal product. So you are it's similarly in line with veganism or what?
No, sir, not exactly.
Okay.
It may, behavioral wise, action wise, it may look like similar, but veganism is an ethical ideated aspect where the kindness is imposed seemingly. If it is like, there could be some explanation of veganism, rationals of veganism, all those things, but largely it is an ethical driven drive. That we should not harm animal and all those things. So with all utmost respect to their initiatives, I just withdraw this understanding from that understanding.
Okay.
It's not veganism. It may look like similar, but it's not a compassion based decision, which has got an idea behind it.
Okay.
Compassion means the enforced compassion. The natural compassion is very much obvious thing. That's something else, which it may emerge, then it's fine. If you are in a scenario where no food is there was a movie Trapped recently, I think Rajkumar Rao starrer, who is a Brahmin person and vegetarian, who got trapped in a multi-storied building and ended up eating a pigeon raw. So all this ethical exploration will go for a toss under such situations.
Okay,
so
that's true.
If we just look at the fact, can we eat a pigeon in a normal state? That's an emergency state one has eaten, but we cannot eat a pigeon in its raw state. So that's a natural response. That's my observation. That's my observation to myself. Nobody else to dictate my food.
Kalyan, as we are almost about 1.5 hours, so but just want to check with others, any others who like to comment or ask questions.
Bhuga, Rajiv, Pavitra, anybody?
Hari Narayan, I think unmuted. Vabia unmuted.
Okay, thank you. I mean, if there is time only, is there time?
Yes, Hari, go ahead, Hari, no problem.
Thank you, Kamalji and Kalyanji. It was wonderful to listen to you.
Sir,
so first I wanted to say that your ideas resonate well, not just with JK, but even with some cognitive scientists who make a distinction between right hemispheric way of attention and left hemispheric way of attention. So right hemispheric way of attention is non-verbal and directly related to the world. And it is tentative, that word that you have stressed a lot. Whereas left hemispheric one is basically verbalized, certain, and is disengaged actually. So you are certainly appreciating or just trying to enhance right hemispheric way of attention, which is sidelined in our culture. That's what people like McGill Christian say actually. Now I have two quick questions. One is, instead of conscious inaction, would you go for a term like spontaneous action, which small children always do actually? Is that word suitable? And second is, yes,
sir. Inaction, the definition of inaction or the synonym to inaction is spontaneous action.
Yeah. Okay, thank you,
sir.
Another is just maybe a small question. In your website, I was just quickly going through the website, and you have mentioned in the section on mindfulness that there are some quick ways or some techniques to reduce thinking. So can you please explain it in a bit actually, if possible?
Is it mentioned there somewhere? Techniques,
yeah, something like that is mentioned. There are some ways to reduce thinking. Yeah. Overthinking or something.
Is it so? If it is so, then we'll look at those things. But definitely, here is montage came. Anyway, so definitely there cannot be a method to reduce thinking conclusively. If it is there on the website mentioned, then we'll look into it.
Not conclusively. You haven't said conclusively, but just.
Okay. Yeah, I think the inquiry is one thing with which we have this tentativeness of observation. Like observation is a tentativeness characteristic. So with that, the reduction, the burden of thinking, burden of thoughts rather, is actually as a byproduct it dissolved. Yeah,
that way. Okay, thank you,
sir. Pleasure.
Anybody wants to chip in? You go.
Hey. Hi, this is Bhavya. So just in the previous conversation, I think there's a way to reduce the thinking, and if anyone is interested, we can connect offline. I don't want to make this about that, but my question to Mr. Kalyan is, so you were talking about the cat, right? The wounded cat, and it healed itself. So we had a stray dog at home, stray dog near our in our street basically. And so basically this dog had some kind of skin issues. I tried to give it medicine, it wouldn't eat it. So I just left it there for the nature to take care of it. And then finally what happened is, although unrelated, the dog, which was kind of had started to put on weight, and then all of a sudden reduced weight, and then it came to a very bad shape. And then I finally had to call some non-profit organization that takes care of the stray dogs, and they picked up the dog, and then they said the dog had developed some memory tumors or something, and it passed away. So in humans, I understand we intervene, we are intention focused, and we basically tweak our body and mind. But in case of a dog, what would be your explanation of why that happened to a dog? A lot of animals don't heal by themselves. So what's your explanation for that?
Yes, thank you. And we are very sorry about the loss that you had to incur in your experience. So the skin ailment, so to say, is definitely an expression of the body to eliminate toxin, because skin is the largest eliminating organ for these kind of organism, including human being. So definitely it's an indication that that particular organism underwent a toxin accumulation, and through whatsoever the energy depletion that has happened for the organism, we don't know unless we just look into the other factors of that particular organism. Will not be able to comment on that, but it appears that it has a lot of toxin accumulated, which the body was trying to throw through the skin, but it couldn't sustain through its initiatives, and death has occurred.
So does that mean it had more toxins than what the dog could,
yes.
how the dog could
Yes.
cure itself in its lifetime?
Yes, yes. Like in fever, in the understanding of fever, we get a lot of questions that if somebody is fever, then will that person not die? We never say that. We never say that because that individual may die, but he may die despite fever. It is not due to fever. That's a confusion that we undergo. We consider that the fever.
So you have gone mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, correct.
It was just a few seconds.
Okay. Maybe due to the signal or something I got dropped. So I was talking about that death may appear despite fever, but not due to fever. So the same thing, initiative of the body was to reduce the toxin burden, but the toxin accumulation was so high that it couldn't survive. And there is a point of no return for all the organisms. And till the point is reached, we don't know. Let's not predict that we have reached the point of no return.
So when you say reaching the point of no return, you are actually talking about the accumulation of toxin?
No, we are talking about the death. The point of no return is the point of death where the body engages all the vitality and cease to stay alive.
Understood. Okay. Interesting. But I do want to, mention that, like some of what you said, I totally agree. Like, basically, like when you look at an ant, right? So why does an ant move in a certain direction? It's looking for food, and how does it know there is sugar in a certain place, right? So it has extraordinary senses because of which it is moving towards something that it needs. So similarly is what you are explaining, wherein pathogens get attracted to something, that the toxins in our body and things like that. So which I totally agree with you, but I do feel like there is some kind of disconnect in my understanding when I notice certain things which don't tie up with this basic idea. So thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, there should be disagreement, then only we'll connect and further explore.
True.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let's connect. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody wants to chip in? Kamalji, unmute yourself.
So, if anybody else, otherwise we'll conclude. We haven't heard some of the, colleagues of Kalyan, like Minu. I was very happy to chat with you from Bikaner. Anything you want to say, Minu? Anything you want to say, share? Or Binal is also very active.
Yeah, there are many people. Shilpi, Biva, and Dr. Raminder Kaur also joined. I think she left. Asha is also there. Asha Shivram.
Okay.
So they all do their own practices also.
I was saying that I'm coming to Kolkata.
Yeah.
And I'll be glad to meet everyone if possible, if there can be a gathering there. And we are also having a workshop in Kolkata on 11th and 12th June. So if anybody wishes to join, can also join that. We'll catch up there if possible.
So shall we conclude, Kalyan? Gautam, shall we conclude? Because it's almost 1 hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So just want to thank you, Kalyan, for sharing your thoughts today, and Gautam for facilitating. I think our curiosity, at the Krishnamurti Foundation was, some of the closeness, as you suggested in some areas, but of course, there are, I think the more you look at things holistically, you realize that there is no one way forward. I mean, there are so many. So I think that's the key, that it's always better to keep broadening one's own understanding. So with that, Harsha, you wanted to say something, Harsha? Do you want to say something, Harsha?
I enjoyed the whole conversation. It was very interesting for me because I think holistic integrated healing is something which is very helpful for anybody, especially I'm a cancer survivor. So I know that how much the mind and body combination work beautifully together. So, the positive thinking and how, you can get healing from your deeper realms, when your mind is absolutely open and quiet and in a silence mode, you do get intimations of how you can cure yourself. And then you tend to get better and better. And now I'm happy to say that it's already 12 years since I had the last, this was diagnosed. And I think this what Kalyanji said also, that, you have to give space to your inner healing to happen also. My motto is, doctors do what they do, God does the rest. So we do our best, but God does the rest. So I think what you shared is very helpful for me also.
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you. So thanks to everybody for joining. Thanks to you, Kalyan. Thanks to Gotham.
Kamalji,
Yeah.
just wrap up there. Before wrap up, I just want to read few lines from Krishnamurti. It will take maximum 1 minute.
Okay.
I don't know whether it has got any connection with today's talk, but let's see whether we can find, or it's like we do escape from what is. We never consider carefully, diligently what is going on, what is happening now in each one of us. Why to try to suppress or transcend what is? If we have a great deal of pain, psychologically, inwardly, we never look at it carefully. We want immediately to erase it, to find some consolation. And always there is a struggle to reach a state where there is no pain, where there is no disorder. But the very attempt to bring about order seems to increase disorder. You bring about other problems. There is no one outside you to help you except yourself. We have had leaders, specialists, every kind of external agency, including God. They have had no effect. They have in no way influenced your psychological state. They cannot guide you. No statement, no teacher, no guru, no one can make you strong inwardly, supremely healthy. As long as you are in disorder, as long as your house is not kept in a proper condition, a proper state, you will create the external prophet and he will always be misleading you. Your house is in disorder and no one on this earth or in heaven can bring about order in your house unless you yourself understand the nature of disorder, the nature of conflict, the nature of division. Your house, that is you, will always remain in disorder.
Thank you.
I don't know whether this has got any connection or anything. So,
Uttam bhai, thank you for joining, and we wish you all the best for speedy recovery. Speedy recovery.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Just want to say that just in case some of you may not have connected with us by email, so if you could just drop in an email, then we can save your number and basically address and get in touch with you. Thank you so much for a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kalyan.
Thank you. Thank you.